We're reviewing the Swag Craze Hybrid and Apex Pearl today. Huge shout out to Bowlers Mart for sending us both of these bowling balls. We are now officially Bowlers Mart affiliates. What that means is there's a link down below, and if you use that and you buy anything from Bowlers Mart, the channel actually gets a little bit of a kickback. So I'd really appreciate if you're gonna buy anything from Bowlers Mart to go use that link to help us continue to make ball reviews like this well before the bowling ball actually gets released. But let's get into the review. So in this video, we're bowling on a typical house shot, and we threw the Swag Craze Hybrid and the Apex Pearl against 4 other low-end bowling balls on the market. We threw it against the Max Thrill Hybrid, we threw it against the IQ Ruby, the Deviate Dark Side, and then we threw in the Gremlin just to see what that looks like compared to the others. It's kind of entertaining what it looks like. But let's start with the Craze Hybrid. The Swag Craze Hybrid is a symmetrical hybrid ball, and it's meant to be the lowest end bowling ball that Swag makes. This is very much in line with the vibes or the hustles. This one, though, hooks a bit less than those other ones, actually, which is kind of surprising. The core numbers of this guy are a 2.52 RG and an 0.30 differential, and this has the Swag Rage Hybrid cover stock. We don't really know where the cover stocks all line up for Swag yet. They do have 12 different bowling balls and a lot of different cover stocks right now, but we don't know which are in what order. What we do know is this Craze Hybrid does not hook that much. What you're going to see in the videos is that this ball actually looks a lot better when I was playing a little bit straighter on the lane. The minute I got too deep, that's where you see all those 210s. That's where you see me miss the head pin, etc., etc. Now, the oil or the lanes that I'm on right now have a very weird part to them where if you get it close-ish to that gutter, the ball just never hooks because there's a little bit of bad topography on the lane, but you'll notice that a couple times. Overall, this Craze Hybrid, though, is very, very smooth. It's a hybrid, so I expected it to have a little bit more kick, and it comes polished, but it really doesn't. I couldn't get it to go through the pins sharply at all. You're going to notice when I throw the Dark Side or even the Max Thrill, those things boom off the end of the pattern. While this Craze Hybrid did not do that in the slightest. This thing was very slow, very smooth, just did not bounce off the spot at all. So who's going to like this ball best? In my opinion, this ball is going to be best for those guys that want to play straighter on a house shot and also aren't very up the back of the ball. I did notice if you added axis rotation, this ball really looked better because it's so smooth when it sees that point of friction. You can spin it more and get that ball going more side to side instead of end over end, and it looked good. It actually cleared the pins like some of the other companies did. What I noticed at the end of the day, Swag stuff is just overall smoother. It is just smoother off the spot than every other company. Overall, would I compare this or would I buy this over a Hustle or any of the other low-end balls like a Vibe? Well, it depends what you're looking for. If you want less hook, this can be a really good option. Two-handers, rev-dominant bowlers, this could be a great option for you if you want to play straighter and you don't want to be hooking it board or end to end. Now, if you want all of that hook, you're going to have to go to a higher price point from Swag or go to something different, which is okay. That's why there's so many different bowling balls on the market. But that's really where this Craze Hybrid is looking. Now, let's go to the fun one with the Apex Pearl. Actually cleared the pins like some of the other companies did. What I noticed at the end of the day, Swag stuff is just overall smoother. It is just smoother off the spot than every other company. Overall, would I compare this or would I buy this over a Hustle or any of the other low-end balls like a Vibe? Well, it depends what you're looking for. If you want less hook, this can be a really good option. Two-handers, rev-dominant bowlers, this could be a great option for you if you want to play straighter and you don't want to be hooking it board or end to end. Now, if you want all of that hook, you're going to have to go to a higher price point from Swag or go to something different, which is okay. That's why there's so many different bowling balls on the market. But that's really where this Craze Hybrid is looking. Now, let's go to the fun one with the Apex Pearl. All right, let's talk about the Apex Pearl. This is a step above the Craze series. This is still a lower end symmetrical core and cover. However, it's not as low as that Craze series. This ball's coming in at a 2.50 RG and an 0.42 differential, which is very unique at the end of the day. The RG isn't very high. However, the differential is in that weird range of the 0.40s. You don't see many bowling balls lower than 0.45, but higher than 0.40. This is like a weird middle ground that you don't see with many cores. So I'm kind of glad that Swag actually went for a ball with those numbers. Well, what does this ball do? Again, we're comparing it to the same balls we did with the Craze Hybrid. This ball hooks more than the Craze Hybrid. Simple as that. It hits friction earlier, actually rounds off of it a little bit better, goes through the pins a little bit better when playing deeper. However, it's still the smoothest ball out of all of them that we brought. This thing is very, very smooth off the end of the pattern. I did not really expect that. I expected a little more angular out of it. But you'll notice I had a couple clips in here where I leave a 3-4 split with the dark side and the max thrill. I will never do that with this Apex Pearl or Sweat or Craze Hybrid. It's weird. They're just so slow off the spot. Now, that causes an issue for people who are more up the back of the ball. The few times I got up the back of the ball a little bit more, you could tell the ball just wanted to be very, very slow towards the pocket. You could leave more corner pins. I think I left a couple more flat 10s when I did that. Those might not be in this recording. But I did notice a little less carry percentage. But when I wanted to spin the ball, when I added axis rotation, this ball looked great. It actually looked really good. So if you're someone with high axis rotation, swag might be a good option, because if I did that with like the dark side or something else, that ball went sideways, completely sideways, no matter what I did. It just becomes very touchy when it comes to where the friction is. With its Apex Pearl, not as much. Now, I never did touch the surface of this Apex Pearl. A few people said they took the shine off and it made it look better. I actually kind of liked where it was. I liked where it was for a house shot. It was smooth, but it was still shiny where it got through the first 30 feet, no matter really where I played. So overall, I really did like this Apex Pearl. I'm going to be trying this in the next couple months when league starts, or even on some sport shots. Now, I can tell this thing doesn't like oil as much as a lot of other balls. It handles oil better than the dark side by a lot. It handles oil better than a lot of other weak bowling balls. But I still would pick my max thrill if I want something that can handle higher amounts of volume. I would still pick my sanded IQ Ruby if I wanted something to actually be rounding off the corner on those middle-ish volume oil house shots. But compared to the Gremlin, like, this thing is a perfect like ball after it, because the Gremlin is so smooth when it starts hooking. This is a similar ball reaction, just a little bit weaker. So overall, this Apex Pearl looked pretty sweet. I'd be curious how the solid is, because if this one is already smooth, I can't imagine how smooth the solid one is. So overall, what are my final opinions of these bowling balls? Well, they're good. They're like other bowling balls. They're just a different shape in general. I don't think there is anything that's eons better or eons worse. I'm a guy who doesn't say that this ball is good or this ball is bad like some of your other favorite YouTubers without giving reason. So overall, these balls are different. They are very different than the ball reactions from the other three companies. I see Brunswick as the most angular and the sharpest ball reaction in bowling right now. I see Storm right below them, Motive right below them, but then I see Swag below Motive now. So you have different kinds of ball reactions for whatever you're going for. So if you want a smoother ball reaction and a slower ball reaction, check out Swag or Motive. If you want a little bit more angle down lane, look at Brunswick or Storm. Really gives you that other option for when you're looking for bowling balls. These prices aren't too bad for the swag balls. $120 for the Craze, $150 for the Apex. The other balls aren't anything too crazy either, which is a good sign. And overall, swag wants to improve, which is great. Talking to a few guys at Bowlers Mart, they have some pretty high hopes for these. They just want to be able to get more options out there, give a different business model, which is why Swag is releasing 6 bowling balls in August, and then they had their 6 bowling balls back in March. So expect more from them in the future. Again, I want to thank Bowlers Mart so much for gifting me these bowling balls, for sending them to me to review. Really means a ton. If you guys want to use the link down below to buy some stuff on Bowlers Mart for next time you're making some purchases, it would help me out a ton. I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.